Albert Fritz, the fired Western Cape Community Safety MEC, has issued a statement regarding the decision to actually axe him from that position. Sally?
Yes, absolutely. And it's quite a few pages long. We've just received it, but we'll give you the main points. He's saying this is his response to the fact that he's been fired because, of course, the Premier found there was prima facie evidence of sexual misconduct. He says the entire matter entails a huge material dispute of facts. He said it's a matter of fact that Advocate Williams only consulted the complainants to the exclusion of other witnesses. And significantly, he says only one of the witnesses corroborated one of the allegations, which was in any event refuted by other witnesses. And then he said, in order to combat the above irrational, unfair and one-sided investigation, I on numerous occasions requested my legal representative be afforded an opportunity to question the complainants. Then he says, consequently, it's incomprehensible how the Premier could reach a prima facie, which is an on-the-surface view, in the comfort of his sanctum whilst relying simply on an investigator's interpretation. And because of all that, he says he's engaging his legal counsel regarding taking Advocate Williams' final report on review. So quite clearly, Albert Fritz is not going down without a fight. He's going to challenge this every inch of the way.
And we are still trying to get him to speak to us on air, so hopefully, given that the statement has been released, he will do so a little later. But let's go live now to our reporter, our senior reporter, Ayesha Ismail. She joins us from Cape Town. Ayesha, this statement dropping a short while ago, but outside of that, just after being fired, Albert Fritz resigned from the Democratic Alliance as well.
That is indeed so, Shahan, but I'm not surprised that Advocate Albert Fritz has decided to take this report by Advocate Williams on review because, as we well know, Albert Fritz is a trained lawyer. He's got a law degree, and I'm sure that he must have studied that report with his legal team as well. But having spoken to Alan Winde this morning, he was very clear that this was a thorough investigation. It was an independent investigation, and he says based on that report by Advocate Williams, it was found that Albert Fritz was not, as he put it, a fit and proper person to be in his cabinet, and it is on that basis that he decided to fire Albert Fritz. Let's listen to what the Premier had to say this morning.
I'm disappointed. It really is. You know, reading that report, I received it on Sunday evening. I met with the advocate on Monday, yesterday afternoon. And, so this morning followed through and fired the MEC from my cabinet. Obviously the independent investigator is not a court of law, but she ran a full investigation, audi ultram partem, both sides. As you said, sufficient credibility of the allegations of sexual misconduct, also of the allegations of alcohol abuse, and then creating this environment in which these abuses could happen. And so, quite frankly, with the position, I mean, there's just no doubt I have to remove him from the cabinet.
Ayesha, just to contrast the statement that we're seeing from Albert Fritz regarding the number of people who testified and the allegations against him. The Premier's statement this morning was very clear that at least 18 people were spoken to during the investigation process. And it wasn't just people who came forward with allegations. It was also people who possibly corroborated evidence. There was also messages that were looked at that they say actually pointed to the possibility of sexual misconduct taking place. That's correct, right?
That is correct, and that's, well, correct in terms of what we've been told by the Premier. What we also know is that there were 6 complainants in this matter. But Shahan, I also spoke to opposition parties earlier today, and to the ANC and to the Good Party, and they were very vocal at the time when the story broke about these sexual allegations. I spoke to Lerumo Kalako from the ANC, and he was saying that they've always been of the opinion that Albert Fritz should have been fired a long time ago by the Premier, and also saying that the DA and the Premier had been covering up for Albert Fritz. But let's listen to what Brett Heron from the Good Party had to say about this.
I think that Alan Winde could have made this decision 5 weeks ago and removed Albert Fritz from office, because the investigation is not really an investigation that made findings, because there was no due process. And there are a lot of unanswered questions around this whole matter, including how for 11 years this conduct was unnoticed by the DA or the administration, because this is a sex for jobs scandal, which means that there are people in the Western Cape provincial government which would have facilitated the appointment of these women into jobs within the administration. And so the 11 years that MEC Fritz, or former MEC Fritz, was in office is a long period of time for this conduct to go unnoticed. But yes, of course, we welcome the removal of Fritz. But we think that this could have been a decision that was made 5 weeks ago. I mean, going back to the DA's hypocrisy, when the allegations surfaced, the DA had been absolutely silent until today. So Albert Fritz was not being disciplined by the DA. Today they announced, after we've been criticizing them for not taking action as a party and leaving it again to government institutions, today they announced that they're referring the matter to the Federal Legal Counsel. But of course, we welcome his removal, but there are lots of unaccounted for or unanswered questions around this issue.
All right, so what's the likelihood of a criminal investigation actually happening?
So, Shahan, just remember that for a criminal investigation to take place, the complainants need to lay a criminal charge against Albert Fritz. Now, I did speak to the provincial spokesperson for SAPS, Brigadier Novella Patalwa, and she says that so far no criminal charges have been opened against Albert Fritz. But she did say that the investigators dealing with sexual offences are on standby to assist the complainants as soon as they are ready to open these charges.
Okay, we're going to leave it right there. Our senior reporter in Cape Town, Ayesha Ismail.
All right, so another